Lucimus Prime here, so it's time for another Star Wars movie review today, and today guys, I'm going to be reviewing the third and final installment of the Star Wars prequel trilogy called Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, released in 2005, so yeah. And guys, I am not alone today because joining me is my very good friend Starkiller 5555, so yeah. I'm going to let him share his thoughts on Revenge of the Sith first, so yeah. And guys, if you're interested, please consider subscribing to his YouTube channel to give him some support. I'll have a link down below in the description for you guys to go check out his channel, so yeah. Anyway, take it away, Starkiller.
Hey everyone, it's me. I'm back for the final video regarding the prequel trilogy on Lucas Prime's channel. Today we're going to be discussing Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Now, this is my favorite Star Wars movie. It's always been my favorite Star Wars movie since I was like 6 years old. And really, this ties everything together. It ends the saga, well, or so we thought at the time. And I just love almost everything about it. It's a near perfect movie, in my opinion. So for me, Anakin's fall is my favorite part about this movie. As you would guess, because his fall is so tragic because he doesn't fall for like evil purposes. He's kind of like Dooku. He falls to the dark side because he just wants to do good. He wants to save people. But, eventually, the dark side doesn't work like that. And instead of saving people, he just causes more trouble and eventually kills the person he intended on saving. And speaking of Dooku, one of my two complaints of this movie is that Dooku is so he's just like, oh, I'm here, oh, I'm dead, and I think he could have been in the movie just a teeny bit longer. Speaking of villains that I think were just a little meh, Grievous is Grievous is a little. I don't want to say he's bad, just want to say he's a little meh. I mean, when you watch 2003, like Grievous, you're like, oh my god, who is this? He's just like, he's a boss. He's killing Jedi left and right. And then, Revenge of the Sith comes and, he's asthmatic cyborg. And I just think he could have been a little bit better. But really, I really don't know what to say specifically. I love everything about this movie. The action, the acting, the lightsaber duels, the effects, everything. I mean, my favorite scene in this movie is probably, Order 66. I was about to say, the lightsaber duel at the end, but that's a little too cliche. And also, I love Order 66. It's like such a tragic scene. And it's just so sad how you see all the Jedi be exterminated. Now, if I had to pick my favorite actor in this movie, like I did with the past two, I'm going to pick the man himself, Ian McDiarmid, as Palpatine / Darth Sidious. He's such a great actor, and, he'll be the best Palpatine. He'll always be the best Palpatine. And he's just one of my favorite Star Wars actors. But, yeah, this movie is near perfect, like I said earlier. Another thing I would like to not really complain about, but just something I think is a little meh. Padme was kind of sidelined, and even when she was like on screen, in my opinion, she turned too much into a housewife type character. Padme's like this badass, and like, sorry. She's like this like cool person in episodes 1 and 2, and then in 3, like she's like, oh, Anakin, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? I have my babies. What's gonna happen? And I think she's okay. Natalie Portman's still a great actress, does great, but she's just a little meh in that movie. But yeah, like I kept saying, this movie's near perfect in my opinion. 10 out of 10. Like I said, Dooku, Grievous, and Padme are my only 3 meh things about this movie. Other than that, I love it. So thank you guys for watching this review, and thank you to Lucas Prime for having me on for these. I'm honored, and yeah. So hope you guys enjoyed, and like this video, subscribe to Lucas Prime, and maybe subscribe to me if you're not already. But I'm not trying to self promo, but
Alright, so it's up to me to review this, so yeah, now, when it comes to Revenge of the Sith, a lot of Star Wars fans say this is their favourite Star Wars movie. As Starkiller has just said here, it's been his favourite for a very long time and it'll never change. Some say it's the best Star Wars movie ever. Now, for me personally, it is my favourite prequel, absolutely, but it's not my number one favourite Star Wars movie. I'd say it's probably my fourth favourite, overall, and we'll get to why. But it is definitely, one of the best Star Wars movies ever, absolutely. Really amazing, and I'd rather have this as the ending of a George Lucas films over, the god-awful, in my opinion, sequel trilogy. This should have been where Star Wars by George Lucas officially ended, really, to be honest. And he said to himself this was his last movie, and there's no episode 7 or anything like that, so yeah, now. So what's this movie about? So, as the Clone Wars is coming to an end, the Jedi spread across the galaxy, leading a large-scale war against the Separatists, and so yeah. So yeah, now, what's great about this film? So the positive mentions, I loved, once again, Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. I loved, his hairstyle in this movie in particular, because it made him look closer to Alec Guinness's version. It was very good, and he was definitely one of the best actors in this movie. He performed so excellently as Obi-Wan Kenobi in this movie. And he had tons of great moments, and yeah. I also, once again, really loved Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, and in my opinion, guys, he really nailed it as Anakin in this movie, and especially when he turns to a dark side and becomes Darth Vader, boy did he nail it. And I love how, he copied the mannerisms of James Earl Jones when he was playing Darth Vader, when he turned to a dark side. He was absolutely perfect. Loved his performance, and it terrified me when I was a little kid as well, guys, when I first saw this movie, because, guys, as a fun fact, this is actually the first movie I ever saw in a cinema, ever. I was only about 5 years old, nearly 6 at the time, and yeah, I went to watch it at the cinema in May, and yeah, this was definitely a really wonderful experience for me. A great cinematic experience, probably my favourite, maybe, because it's my first ever one, maybe, but I think probably Endgame topped it, maybe, because it's my favourite film of all time, but yeah. Anyway, back to Revenge of the Sith. Once again, loved Natalie Portman as Padmé Amidala. Once again, she was amazing in the film. And Frank Oz as a voice of Yoda. Once again, top notch as always. He'll always be Yoda. Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu. I loved him as Mace Windu in this movie. He was once again amazing. And of course, Sir Christopher Lee, may rest in peace, as Count Dooku. But guys, I think probably the best actor in the movie, I probably agree with Starkiller here, is definitely the legendary Ian McDiarmid as Palpatine, because I think Palpatine's rise to power in this movie, to the Emperor we know in the original trilogy, was probably the main highlight, really. Like, the way they showed his rise to power was absolutely perfect, guys. I just really loved his rise to power, absolutely. And his speech, where he organised the very first Galactic Empire, is so chilling and suspenseful. Coupled with Darth Vader slaughtering separatists on Mustafar with soundtrack in the background. Oh, man. So chilling. Absolutely. I also, as well, loved Matthew Wood as the voice of General Grievous. And I also don't care, guys, if he doesn't sound as menacing as Richard McGonagall's version from the 2003 Clone Wars, because even if Matthew Wood wanted to be as menacing as Richard McGonagall's version, he couldn't be exactly like him, because Mace Windu choked Grievous, so that's why Grievous has the cough. Which, as a fun fact, guys, is actually voiced by George Lucas, the cough. And yeah, I also loved Jimmy Smits as Bail Organa. This movie has my favourite performance by him as Bail Organa. I loved him in this movie. I think Bail Organa is probably one of the most underrated Star Wars characters ever. I love Bail Organa. I also love, as well, the action in the movie. The action is probably my favourite in the entire franchise in this movie. The action is absolutely brilliant, and it definitely holds up to this day as well. Really does. It's amazing, and I also don't care about the CGI, guys, either, because I think it was needed, it was necessary. Because some things, guys, are hard to do practically, so it makes sense to do it in CGI. And then again, lots of things in prequels are practical anyway, so yeah. Like, models and stuff like that, really. I also liked, how we got to see Chewbacca again, returning to, and Peter Mayhew returned to a role, rest in peace. It was also really nice to give Chewbacca more backstory, how we got introduced to his planet, Kashyyyk, which is pretty cool. And I also think, you know, the whole introduction of Darth Vader, the transition was done absolutely perfectly. I loved it. And I think, guys, this is probably the most darkest Star Wars movie ever. I'm not kidding. It's so dark, and in my opinion, I mean, and this could be true due to the age rating changing, because if any of you live in the United Kingdom, you'll be aware that the original trilogy and the Phantom Menace are all rated universal, suitable for all ages. When Attack of the Clones came out, they changed it to PG, parental guidance, because general viewing but some scenes might be unsuitable for young children. This movie, however, was rated 12, so yeah. So this was definitely not a big change, and it fitted because it's the darkest Star Wars movie ever. I love the space battles as well, absolutely. I love the Battle over Coruscant, it's really great at the start. I love how the movie begins with action, I just love that. It gets you involved immediately, that's just incredible. And another, you know, scene that I do love besides Darth Sidious rising to power is definitely Order 66, because it's probably one of the most heartbreaking moments I've ever seen in my life of watching films ever. So heartbreaking seeing a Jedi die. And when you re-watch the scene after seeing the Clone Wars, it definitely, you know, hits differently, and probably much more worse, really. Like, when you watch the Clone Wars, it's the last couple of episodes of Series 7, it just hits so much more. Like, Shattered in particular for the Clone Wars, you know, definitely, you know, made me feel sad, knowing that it was happening. So, yeah, it was so sad, really. And, now, this is probably my favourite scene in the entire movie, guys. I definitely loved the final climactic duel on Mustafar between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. I just love that duel so much. Like, amazing choreography and great stunts for like 10 minutes, longer than any other duel, really. And it's just absolutely breathtaking. I love it. And the dialogue is also delivered perfectly as well. Really amazing, and I don't understand why people hate the dialogue in these films. I don't really care, because I love the dialogue. You know, I loved it, especially in this climactic duel. It was really amazing, and incredible acting as well. And speaking of heartbreaking scenes, guys, I do also think the scene where, you know, Obi-Wan Kenobi is yelling at Darth Vader, "You are the chosen one," and stuff like that, and, you know, Vader saying, "I hate," yelling, "I hate you." Again, that's another heartbreaking moment as well. Really is sad, and, you know, it just shows how great of actors Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen are, really. Like, it's a very sad scene, really. Now, when it comes to character deaths, I kind of had a feeling that Padme would die. Yeah, because she's absent, she's not in the original trilogy, and I think, you know, Leia, of course, mentioned, you know, Luke and Leia's mother in the Return of the Jedi. And I think it was implied about seeing that she is dead, so yeah. When it comes to Mace Windu, I had a feeling the Jedi Order would, of course, perish, except for Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi, because they're in the original trilogy, but yeah. So I had a feeling he would die. When it comes to Count Dooku, however, because I knew that eventually Darth Vader would succeed him as being the apprentice to the Emperor, that he would die as well. But, guys, this leads on to my only issue with the movie. I really hate how, despite having a prominent billing in the main cast, that circularly only has about 5 minutes of screen time and only speaks 4 lines. Well, 5 if you count a deleted line from the Revenge of the Sith video game. So yeah, I think Count Dooku was utterly wasted in this movie because of the only appearing in one scene. But I will say the duel was very well choreographed, guys, and very well made. But I just wish he had more screen time before the duel. I know that the Revenge of the Sith game does expand on it, but I wish the film did as well. Like, it would have been really cool to see him interacting with General Grievous before confronting Anakin and Obi-Wan on the Invisible Hand. But sadly, we never got that. I mean, it might be a deleted scene, maybe. I have no idea. Like, I'd love it if they could release the director's cut of Revenge of the Sith with all deleted scenes, you know, restored in the footage. I'd love that, absolutely. Because I do believe, guys, that the Invisible Hand scene was about to last for over an hour into a movie, which was pretty cool. An hour long. So, yeah. According to IMDb. Yeah. So yeah. So that's probably my only issue, guys. And another thing as well that I will say is that I do wish that the fight between General Grievous and Obi-Wan Kenobi was longer. I wish it was longer because, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was still very well made at the time in 2005, 16 years ago, but still. I do wish it was longer, to be honest, guys. But still, it was still great for what it was, absolutely. I've not really got much of a big issue with it, just wish it was longer. And as a fun fact, guys, the original voice actor for General Grievous was going to be Gary Oldman, but I do believe he dropped out due to scheduling conflicts. I mean, it's understandable because in the same year he was in both Batman Begins and Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire at the time, so yeah. He must have been really busy, I think, which is why he dropped out of the film, maybe. But Matthew Russell Wood is still my favourite General Grievous to this day of all time. And I like his voice in this film the most out of all his performances, to be honest. Yeah, I love his voice in this film. He's absolutely brilliant as Grievous. He's fantastic. And of course, I did also love the return of C-3PO and R2-D2. I like how 3PO's finally got his gold plating, absolutely. And he's playing a very important role being the assistant to Padme. I do like that. And if any of you guys dislike Jar Jar Binks, then you'll be pleased to know that he's barely in this movie. He only has a few minutes of screen time and only one line, which I believe is, "Excuse me," and that's it. He doesn't speak again, and we don't see him much either in the movie. He's only seen, like, sat with Padme and also at her funeral at the end of the movie. Another highlight is definitely John Williams' music. I love his music in this movie. It's my favourite soundtrack by John Williams. The track called Battle of the Heroes, and Anakin vs. Obi-Wan, as it's called, is my favourite track he's ever composed. It's just chilling, breathtaking, perfect. And the final music as well is also very heartbreaking, but hopeful at the end because we hear Binary Sunset, of course. Which, of course, sets the stage for A New Hope. And I remember very well, guys, but when I was at the cinema watching this when I was a little kid, when the film ended with Owen and Beru looking at the Binary Sunset with baby Luke in Beru's arms, the entire audience clapped at the credits, and I clapped as well because it was just, perfect. Absolutely. The way it ended with prequel trilogy, it ended on a sad note because evil has won, but still, there was hope. And that's what leads into, of course, A New Hope, so yeah. So yeah, that's me reviewing Revenge of the Sith, guys, my favourite prequel, and it's still a great movie, and I'd rather watch this over the god-awful, in my opinion, sequel trilogy. And in my opinion, it's where the George Lucas films truly ended, and nothing else came after the 6 films. And he said to himself, there's no episode 7, so yeah. On an interview he did promoting this movie. So, if you guys are wondering what I'd give this movie out of 10, I would definitely give this movie a 9 out of 10, like I did in my ranking last year. It's my 4th favourite Star Wars movie after Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, and A New Hope. And of course, it's Starkiller's favourite as well. So you know the drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to leave in the comments what you guys think of Revenge of the Sith if you've seen it, which you probably have done. But if you haven't, then I reckon you go watch it. It's absolutely breathtaking and wonderful. Also, be sure to subscribe to Starkiller, like I told you at the start of the video, because he deserves support and subscribers. Also, be sure to join the team by pressing subscribe for movies coming in the future. And may the Force be with you always.